immediately started at Queens College. And I was at Queens College a little over a year when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor.
Okay, so in 41.
I was, at that time, the draft age was, I think I was 18 when Pearl Harbor took place. The draft age was 19, so when I turned 19, rather than being drafted and becoming a private in the infantry, with a year of college behind me, I qualified to become an aviation cadet. And I trained, and I had my choice to become, after I was in for the while, I had the choice to become a pilot, a bombardier, or a navigator. I had 10 lessons flying in a single-engine plane, and at one time I got involved in some horrible weather, and I couldn't control a plane. I decided I don't want to be a pilot. So I decided to go into bombardier navigation. I was primarily a bombardier, but I was also qualified to fly as a navigator. And then combat later on, if you ask me questions about combat. I flew 30 missions over Nazi Germany as a bombardier, and 2 missions as a navigator. And I should say, instead of using the word flying, I use the word surviving. I survived 32 missions.
I have some specific questions about the military a little bit further on, so we'll talk about that, because I know that was a big part of your life and of your memories too. But let's go over to when you decided to come to Kendall Park. I believe it was in 1961. What made you come to Kendall Park? Why did you decide to settle here in Kendall Park?
Well, we were looking at homes in various areas, and I guess the advertisements caught my attention to Kendall Park, and we drove out here, and this home had not been built yet. But looking at a plot plan, it's off of what I call a feeder road, Kingsley Road, which would have traffic. It's high ground.
Yeah, you can see it right in this picture.
It is high ground.
The picture.
We're one house in from Kingsley Road. We're not too far from Route 27 and Route 21. I'm in Route 1 and 27, right in between. I was able to get a job in the nearest town, which was New Brunswick. But for my first year, I did commute to New York, and we had a commuter bus.
Okay, that's my question. You used to go bus out. Okay. So in those days too, it didn't take as long to get from place to place because there wasn't as much traffic, I'm guessing.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me a little bit about what Route 1 and Route 27 looked like back when you first moved to Kendall Park. The story I'll tell, and then you can elaborate. I was told by someone who lived in Kendall Park that there was only one light between.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, that's the story I heard. There's one light between.
And Howe Lane was the first light.
And you could get there in
This is on 27?
Yeah.
Getting into New Brunswick.
Into Princeton. I heard there was only one.
Oh, going the other way?
Yeah, I heard there was one light, or then they put one in, but the story that was related to me is you can go straight from here to Princeton on 27 without any traffic lights.
There was a terrible accident in 1965 on Route 27 where a grandmother had taken her 3 little grandsons to the movies, and getting off the bus, the littlest one, who was 5 years old, ran across the road and was hit by a and was killed.
He was killed.
And there was no light, and the street didn't go straight. It went like this down, and so the whole bunch of us, we all had babies. I have a picture of myself with my daughter in a stroller. We all went over there and we picketed that corner, and they straightened.
That's 518 and 27, right?
Right, 27 and New Road.
Yeah, okay.
27 in your road.
And New Road, and they straightened out the road, and now, of course, there's a light there.
Wow.
But
Oh, okay.
was a whole bunch of us who, and we all had only babies at that time, and because the child that was killed must have been about 4 or 5 years old, and
So you were part of the movement that lobbied towards getting a light.
yeah, because I found it. Someone said, "Oh, there's a picture of you in the paper, and there's a picture of me with my daughter in a stroller." So it was that long ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the only light. There was no light. There was no light.
So there was no light, and then they had one put in.
Yeah, they had one put in, and they straightened out the road.
Wow, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so now we'll move on to community and school. What schools did your children attend, and how did they get there?
The children?
Your children.
Well, they went to Constable School, which
Uh-huh.
is nearby. I guess they walked.
Your kids walked.
What's that?
Your kids walked to
Yeah.
school. We had a bus from Unruly Road.
When did you
Okay.
start teaching?
Hmm?
They said you taught at Constable School?
I taught at Constable School.
Oh, okay, that's interesting too. What house of did you attend any house of worship when you lived here in Kendall Park?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Jewish Community Center.
Okay.
Yeah. What do we call it?
Well, I don't know. Did you belong to the one in the Farmers Synagogue before, but you belonged to the one in New Brunswick, Anshianmouth, the Reformed
Yeah.
Synagogue.
Yeah, later on, but we had one in Kendall Park.
Oh, Beth Shalom.
That was Beth Shalom in
Yeah.
Kendall Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you have any special friends or fond memories? Do you have any fond memories of Kendall Park, of things? This is from the last 55 years. I know it's
I'm sure
it's
I
a
have-
long question.
I have many
It's a-
fond memories if I sit down and think about it. But I just, can't.
That's okay, because the question's
I
just
have-
that idea.
I'm sure I have many memories.
I'm sure for being for your
We
first.
all moved in with babies,
Uh-huh.
and we all just became, no one had ever lived here. Most of us were from New York, and we all became friends. And we still see our friends who are original homeowners of our original group of friends. I think I moved to Monmouth Junction, but Dawn is about the only one that still lives in Kendall Park. But we keep up with our friends who we,
That's great.
so we were very close. We were very close when we first moved here.
Yeah.
We had the Kendall
That's
Park
valuable.
No, I
News
must
or
say the
press
women all
at the library.
got along
Was that
together.
given out
Yeah,
free?
yeah.
which was
I
great.
think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
We
really
had no
nice.
library,
That's no library.
no library,
Until 1968.
because I joined the Princeton Library,
Okay.
and then they had the house, the little house, and then they have the nice library, which I love.
Yeah. That the little house. You mean the one right on Kingston?
That the
Lane?
one they knocked down.
Yeah, just a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I came into work one day and I saw a giant backhoe was knocking it over, so we took videos of it because now it's going to be a parking lot eventually, so they say. Now the other question I have, I understand how there weren't many lights, but when you went away somewhere, either Princeton was right there, but did you go to Trenton and you said you worked in New Brunswick or Philadelphia or New York? Are there any
Yeah.
places you took shorter excursions than the trips to Georgia to visit your mother and your?
But what's your question?
Well, did you take a train or a drive when you visited places like Trenton, or did you go to Trenton? Or
No, Trenton, no.
No, or New York?
Yes, New York.
So you said you took
There was
a
a
bus.
commuter bus.
You took a bus up. That's, right.
That's
you
to
did.
work, but socially, we always took cars to New York.
Yeah.
So you drove in when you went up for a visit. Okay.
Yes.
And just to get an idea, now today most people have as many cars as people driving of driving age in the house. So how many cars did you have when you first moved here in Kendall Park in
Well,
'61?
when we moved in, we just had the one car.
Just the one.
Of course, my older brother Bob, he had a car.
Uh,
but he was the first to get married and to leave us. But in general, we had one car.
And then, now, did your wife end up driving eventually and getting her own car?
And then, yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, she could drive.
Okay. So the next thing is, and it's about World War II and military life and adult life. So I know that you have a lot of memories here. I'll start them, but if you have anything that you'd like to add in there, that would be just fine. Let me just look at our time here.
I'm sure. I do give, I haven't recently, but I had been giving talks,
Uh-huh.
hour talks, 1 hour
Uh-huh.
talks about my military experiences.
Okay.
And I was called on to give these talks.
Okay.
Are you going to talk mostly military experiences now? Because
No.
his memory is absolutely perfect. No, seriously.
For that part, for the
For
military.
that part, so you really don't need me to help at all. Anything?
Well, I'll just go over them briefly. I'm
No,
not
no,
gonna.
no, you enjoy talking about it. I'll go talk, and then if I have to leave, I just have a couple of things I have
Yeah,
to take
I'm not
care
going
of.
into any
Okay.
Okay.
deep discussion.
Let's take a
about the
break right
military.
here. We'll
Briefly,
pause
yes.
right here.